up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Kevin Jackowitz with the Kaged review, and this is a different episode for the rock review. And this one, I wanted to talk about my 10 favorite bands, specifically the 10 favorite that I've seen in concert. This is strictly going by concert performance. I've seen many bands in concert, and so I have a lot to go by to give you an idea, just kind of give you a nice rundown of some of the bands that I've seen in concert. Pillar, Skillet, Switchfoot. I've seen Atreyu, Five Finger Death Punch, Rob Zombie, Disturbed, Godsmack, Lamb of God, Korn. New Year's Day was a really fun one for me. I like them. It really turned me on to a new band. And honestly, so did Five Finger Death Punch, because at that point I really hadn't heard much of their music. POD I've seen a couple of times, and This Moment I've seen a couple of times. Death Punch I've seen like 3 or 4 times now. Shinedown, 3 Days Grace. So a whole fucking shitload of bands that I've seen in concert. So for my top 10, I had to figure out a few things. One, the spectacle on stage. I wanted to kind of incorporate not just the performance as a band, but also visually what they do. Because that's important when you're at a live event and you don't just want to hear the music, you want to get a feel for what the performers are like. I also want to know how they sound on stage. Do they actually sound like they do on their records, or do they sing like two cats fucking in a furnace? So it's really important that they sound similar, at least. Energy. That's one of my big things that I look for when I go to a concert and I see a band perform live. What is their energy level? Are they into it? Are they trying to push the crowd to get into it? That's a big thing. And I'll be honest, me and my girlfriend were talking about the last concert we went to, and we were talking about Seether. And Seether is a very good band. They sound great. But the guy honestly seemed like he was a little pissed off, and he did not move. He didn't get into the music at all. He didn't try to get the crowd into it at all. And I really like Seether as a band, but their live performance that particular night, honestly, neither one of us were feeling it that much. So, I'm going to start with my number 10 and work my way up to number 1. And number 10 is actually Megadeth. I came in there, this was at, I want to say it was one of the Mayhem Fests. And the poor bastard, Dave Mustaine, he had literally broken his arm the night before. And he walks out on stage with a cast on. And, this guy is, I don't know, what, 40s or 50s now. I mean, he's not a young guy anymore by any stretch of the imagination. And he was so cool, and he apologized about, if you missed any notes, that, just take it for what it's worth, because he's playing with a broken arm. And he actually did a damn good job. They sounded really good. He tried to incorporate the crowd into it, which I really liked. And they had the old, I think it's Vic, the guy that comes out with the metal face and the wires and shit. They actually had that dude, come out on stage and shit. So you had a little bit of stage presence there too. So it was actually a really cool concert for me to see. I always wanted to see some of the older bands like Metallica and Megadeth and shit like that. And so it was actually a chance for me to go and see one of the bands I grew up with. And I really like the fact that he was so cool about it. He actually played with a broken arm. He actually showed up. So that says a lot about Dave Mustaine. And the fact that he was still trying to get everybody involved and that they still had stage presence. I really like that. So number 9 on this list is Fozzy. Fozzy was kind of a dark horse for me. I didn't know that they were going to make the list. And I think the main reason they did is because Jericho, when he hits the stage, he's having just as much fun as the crowd is. He's up there, he's having a blast, he's very energetic, he's singing, he's participating, he's pulling everybody in. And honestly, for a guy that's almost 50 years old, it was amazing. It really was. I think that this guy absolutely killed it. They sounded really good. You know, he was bouncing around from beginning to end of their set. It was very, very cool. We saw them at 98 Rock Fest, and they were opening act for the main stage, and it really got the crowd pumping. And I think Chris Jericho and Fozzy were an amazing choice because, like, not just Chris Jericho. I don't want to, pigeonhole and it's like, all right, all about Jericho. The whole band was like that. The guitarist has this weird thing where he's doing this jump kick that he was doing throughout the whole set too. I mean, it was really cool, man. I really like Fozzy, and I think they are an underrated band, and I'm really glad that they're finally getting some notoriety. I really like that. Number 8. This is actually going to surprise some people. Because for all the bands that I've seen, this is one of the biggest names that I've seen in concert, and that's Disturbed. Disturbed was very good, but the reason they're so low on the list is because while they have an amazing song list, and they did sound good, they sounded like the records, there wasn't a whole lot of energy from the band. I mean, as far as like stage presence, I was gonna say Dave Mustaine. I'm still thinking of Megadeth. Man, God, what's his name?
Drummond.
Oh yeah, David Drummond. So David Drummond, he has this like weird shtick that he does where he kind of stands in one spot and he's a little bit theatrical, but he doesn't move around a lot, and so in that way, it's not a very energized performance. You're hearing the songs and they sound very good, which of course, is the main thing of what you want from a concert. You want to hear the songs and have the bands sound like they do on the records. Okay, well, they've killed that, but there wasn't a whole lot of interaction between him and the crowd, and there wasn't a whole lot of energy from him. So it was just one of those things where I liked it. I thought it was a good concert. But when I compare it to other bands, I don't know that it sold me. When you're talking about the theatrics of some of the other bands later on, or even just the pyro from some of the other bands later on, if they still sound good and they're adding this extra stuff to it, then that already makes them better, in my opinion. So Disturbed, very good, but pretty low on this top 10 list. So the next band on this list is Godsmack, and Godsmack was really kind of a cool experience for me. I'd been listening to them ever since their very first album came out. As a matter of fact, I bought the first CD that they ever brought, and I just played that thing non-stop. I learned how to play the drums for just about every song on there. I used to put my headphones in, and I'd be playing drums literally to the whole album. So seeing Godsmack right off the bat was going to be cool for me. But to get to see them in concert was even more fun, because being a drummer and just all around percussionist, they had some really cool segments in the concert where they had this dueling drum thing going on, where you had Sully, who is the lead singer, and the drummer of the band. Sully got on one drum set, and the drummer's on the other one, of course. And they're just kind of going back and forth in these like alternate drum solos, and they're doing all this like really cool percussion shit. And it was really cool to see for me. So that alone really sold me on this concert. And of course, they sounded amazing. I mean, you get out there and Sully's voice really sounds like it does on the records. The band was absolutely phenomenal. And so it was just a really cool experience. I got some really cool pictures of the visuals of the dueling drum sets, man. That was just really awesome for me. I really liked it. They really brought it home. And they were a bit more energized than, say, like Disturbed, who we were just talking about. And, as far as crowd participation, there wasn't a whole lot going on there, but there was more energy to it. And so that alone kind of sets them, a little bit above Disturbed. And like I said, plus when you're throwing in the dueling drum sets, just a really, really great concert experience. So for me, I had to put them at least above Disturbed by a little bit. Um, like I said, energy is a big thing with me when you're going to a concert. You want to feel that these guys are into it as much as you are, you know, that they really enjoy being up there, and you could tell they did. So that was cool. Number 6, New Year's Day. New Year's Day, I just seen for the first time at the beginning of the year, and I really hadn't heard anything about them, so I got on YouTube. I checked out a couple of their songs, and I really liked what I heard, so I was hoping that they were going to be, you know, as good on stage, and they were way better. The one thing that I really liked about it is all of the bandmates come out, and they've got a little bit of a theatrical thing going on. They got the makeup. They all have this like certain look they're trying to get as a band. Ash Costello, you know, she's got the energy. She's out there headbanging front and center. She's moving around. She's you know, interacting with the audience, which again is a big thing with me. So it was really cool, and it was especially cool because, like I said, it was really introducing me to this band. There was a lot of songs that I heard that I hadn't known before, and they all sounded great. So New Year's Day is a very good show. Number 5 on the list, Shinedown. And it's cool because I've seen Shinedown in concert twice. The first time there was a big screw up, the first guitar stroke that the guy hit, the PA system blew out. And I don't know what happened, but they could no longer do their standard electric set. And I guess they had some backup speakers or something. I don't even know how it worked. But they got their acoustic electric guitars, and they had a very stripped down version of the show. And the lead singer was so cool about it. He came out, he was very apologetic, he was very sincere. He was like, don't worry, you know, we're still going to put on our show. We're still going to do it to the best of our ability. And like even one guy was shouting out Fly from the Inside. And he's like, oh, don't worry, man. We're going to do Fly from the Inside, especially because of this. So it just goes to show how cool and humble the band is. And it was a great acoustic set. It was a much more intimate feel. Now the second time around, it was just straight up rock. And it was funny because they were both at 98 Rockfest concerts. Both times I've seen Shinedown. They both headlined. And this time around, the second time, they hit like every major song that you could think of that they made. And it was a long ass set. Like they stuck around playing well after their set would have been over normally. And they were just having fun. They were, you know, interacting with the crowd. And you want to talk about interacting with the crowd. The lead singer, he gets off stage. He literally goes and jumps over the barricade into the crowd, walks all the way back into the end of the crowd, comes all the way forward again, and he's really like getting everybody to participate. And he did that throughout the whole concert, like everybody pulling out their lights for one of their particular songs. He's like, we're not starting the song until I see a bunch of lights out. You know, and he's getting everybody involved, and I really like that. It was a very cool laser show too. Their stage setup was awesome. Visually, it was very, very good. The laser show was phenomenal, and at the end, they had a bunch of cool pyro going off. So you have this band that's an amazing band. They sound great live. The singer has this just amazing voice that really sounds just as good live as it does on record. It really does. And then you add the fact that he's jumping into the crowd. You've got the laser show. You've got the pyro. Like, honestly, that's all the makings of an amazing concert, and it really was. It really was. We had an amazing time there. So, Shinedown hits the halfway point for me. Number 4 in this is In This Moment. In This Moment, I've seen a couple of times, and I originally saw In This Moment at Mayhem Fest. They were headlining one of the outside stages, and it was before they had the gimmick that they have now. They had the beginnings of their gimmick. She's very theatrical. She's got a history of theater, and so she had this like kind of like sexy girl thing going on, but a little bit twisted with skulls on the microphone, and you know, she's like got this heavily tattooed arm. So it looks very cool. And the second time I saw, they were very different. Very, very different. Well, for one, she had the flu, Maria Brink, which again goes to speaking about how cool some of these guys are, because you've seen a lot of bands where people are just assholes. If anything goes wrong, they just quit the set. They're not going to play for the fans, and it sucks. And me and my girlfriend have been very lucky in the fact that when we go to these concerts and shit happens, like Dave Mustaine with his broken arm or Maria Brink with the flu, they fought through it and they gave the best show that they could possibly give. And there were songs in the second go around that she couldn't do because of that, but that's okay, because what she did do, she still fucking killed. And she actually still sounded really good despite the flu, which is a testament to Maria Brink. But it was much more theatrical at this point too. She had her stick down, where she had all these costume changes that she goes through, and the setup with the band was very cool. And they had these video packages that ran from the end of one song to the beginning of the other, kind of seamlessly. And so it really kept people involved the entire time, and there was really no downtime, even through the costume changes. So I really like In This Moment. Very good. If you've never seen them before live, it's definitely a different experience than what you're going to hear on the radio. They are very theatrical for sure. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate somebody who is an artist that not only takes the time to create the music, but to create what happens around the music. So to me, that just says something about the person. So number 3 on this list is Skillet. And Skillet is one of those bands that you probably wouldn't think would be so high on the list, because, I don't know, they kind of come across as like pop rock in a way to me now. But having seen them in concert, these guys have an energy that I have never seen from any other band, past, present, or future, on stage. Their energy level is through the fucking roof. And that was one of the really cool things about this band. And with this band, I was literally front row. I went from literally front row on the barricade to backstage with the band. I got to hang out with the band. I got to talk to them. I got pictures with a few of them. And it was just a very, very cool experience. They're very nice. They're very humble. They sound amazing live. But the energy level is why they are so high on this list. Like, they really draw you in. From beginning to end, it is an experience. And I was very, 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 very happy to see that. So, number 2 on the list is Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is easily one of my favorite concert experiences. He's incredibly theatrical, just like In This Moment, except he takes it to a whole other level. Rob Zombie has this thing where, he's got all these movies that he's made, and he's got clips that he makes for his concerts where they're kind of these visual aids to the songs, or he actually has movie clips that he throws in with his stage music. It's really, really cool how he does it, though. And he's got the costume changes, he does the whole zombie bit, which is pretty cool. But he's also got a lot of stage props that he brings out. He has this like really huge android robot looking thing that he has. And when you put it all together, you've got great music, you've got a good sound live, you've got an amazing stage presence, you've got Johnny Five, who is just absolutely amazing on guitar. It was just a very, very fun experience, and if you've never seen Rob Zombie live, trust me, you're going to have an amazing time. And another really cool thing about Rob Zombie is after he was done with his set, he went out into the crowd, he's walking around with the fans, he actually went to the public bathroom and he's talking to everybody, and just a really fucking cool, humble guy. So, you can't say enough about shit like that. You just can't. I think it's really cool when you have performers that understand that the fans are really what make or break the people. If it wasn't for the fans, he wouldn't fucking be up on that stage. And again, me and my girlfriend have been very blessed to be able to go to these concerts where the musicians understand that, and they try to give back, and they try to show love to the fans. And I think it's very cool because some of them have honestly gone above and beyond, and I feel like Rob Zombie is one of those guys. So number 1 brings me to the top of the list, and of course it is going to be Rammstein. This fucking concert was ridiculous in every way, shape, and form. Rammstein, if you don't know, they're from Germany. They started back in the 90s, and they are one of the more prolific bands from that area and from that time. They're still pumping out music. They still sound great. They are incredibly theatrical, though. Incredibly. Every song they do has a gimmick to it. Some songs, they literally have to pull out an complete set of stage props just for that song. And then, they gotta move it off and bring other shit on. From beginning to end, though, it was phenomenal. They started out by coming through the crowd on this little rafter thing, and they come up to the stage, and, there's this nice long pause, and then they get into it. And instantly the pyro is going crazy. And now me and my girlfriend are literally on the barricade for this concert. Okay, we're close enough to get sweat on. And sweat on is probably the most accurate thing you could say for being front row at a Rammstein concert, because the pyro and the fire is so fucking hot that you're going to break a sweat almost immediately. It's so visually cool, though. Like, they don't just do a little pyro and you get a couple of bursts here and there. No, they light the whole fucking stage on fire. Like, it is absolutely insane. There was one part where they're doing the butcher sequence. I forget what song it is, but they bring out this cauldron, and it's like basically they're making a human stew. And the lead singer's got a flamethrower, and he's throwing flames into this pot that one of the other singers is in. And the dude comes out in a ball of flames. Like, it's insane. This concert experience was amazing. There was so much that I liked about this. They did get the crowd involved. There was a part halfway through their set, which was a very, very long set, where they have like a middle stage literally in the center of the crowd, and so they walk through the crowd into the center stage. And so they're kind of, trying to give love, because it's a big-ass packed arena. And so they're trying to get everybody involved in this, and then they come back to the main stage. Just so many really cool things that you don't see anywhere else. Like, they have these masks that they wear that they sing through that shoot like 30 feet of flames. So they're flamethrower masks that they're singing through. It's crazy. He had this one thing, it was this little firework gun, and he shoots out, and it literally went like halfway into the crowd, stops somehow, and comes back. And there's just this massive firework explosion on the stage. It was so cool. So, I mean, a great sound. They definitely sounded like they do on the records. An amazing presence. Easily the most theatrical I've ever seen. But not only theatrical, but they want it to be visually stunning. And so they have all these extra sets of pyro that they set off the fireworks. And it just creates this incredible atmosphere that, I mean, you just can't help but be adrenalized with. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my list for the top 10 bands that I have seen in concert. This is not my top 10 favorite bands of all time. It is specifically the bands I've seen in concert performance. And, man, I've actually had some very, very good experiences with concerts. We've been very lucky. Like I said, there have been times where people, lead singers or other bandmates, they get hurt or something happens, something doesn't go their way, and they're really pissy about it, and they just close down the whole show. We've been very fortunate with that. We've had some very cool, very humble bands, people that really love the fact that, they're in the position because of the fans, and they show that. So it does mean a lot to me, and I would highly recommend virtually every band that I just mentioned. They're all very good. If they made that list, they're definitely amazing in concert, and that includes Disturbed. I know I said they were kind of lower on the list. It doesn't mean they were bad. It just means that some of these performances kind of blew them out of the water as far as visually what they did. They still sounded very good, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. So, that's my take on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this list, if you like these bands, let me know what bands you have seen and what would be your top 10 list for what bands you have seen in concert. I always love to get feedback like that, because honestly, if you're letting me know who you like in concert, that's somebody that I might want to check out later. So let me know. And if you like this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation out.